Very early in our plans to become carbon neutral, we thought that we should come up with a toolkit, an idiot sheet on how to do it. How may we become carbon neutral? So one of the things that we were talking always about was on a building code. Phasing out HCFCs is part of that building code. It's how we are now going to start using another substance, or hopefully another technology, in cooling and in refrigerating. Cooling is very important for us. We live in hot climates, and therefore cooling is wasting a fair amount of Earth's resources if we do it in the manner that we are doing now. So we want to see other technological shifts, other methods of how we may be able to cool and how we may be able to refrigerate. We have the technology, there's no doubt about that. It's a question of how bold we are in implementing it, using it, and also it is a question of how effective we are in selling the idea to big, or rather rapidly industrializing countries. So we should be able to have this technology and test it here and say to the rest of the world, look here, it's working and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's economically viable. And in fact, one of the resorts in Baathol, where the Environment Ministry is going to declare the atoll as a conservation zone, there is a resort which is already testing with this technology, and they think that it is perfectly fine without the gas so much. So I think what we are today trying to do is very well in line with our thoughts on how we may become more efficient in development. We have many examples of how countries have been able to follow a less hazardous development pattern without carbon, or without, not just simply carbon, I would say less hazardous. There are many, many other gases or many, many other substances which we would be better off not to use in our development efforts. If we are able to demonstrate this, I believe it would be easier for some of the other bigger countries to say or to agree on their peaking years. One of the issues in Copenhagen for big emitting countries were on deciding when they will agree to peak in their carbon emissions. They're doing all the sums with the existing technology. What we are trying to do is to shift the technology so that the sums can be done in a more friendly or rather a more digestible manner to us here in the Maldives and the rest of us living in this planet. As I pointed out, I really had no point here in talking, but I thought that it is, I would like to say a few words, and I thank UNEP. I thank all the UN agencies for holding this very important meeting here. We would ask countries not to wait until 2030. We would request from countries to do it now. Science is telling us that we have a window of opportunity of 7 years, perhaps, before we may go to a tipping point. So it is, in my mind, important that we try our best. And again, thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much for joining hands with us on this endeavor. It's not going to be easy. We are talking about refitting all the buildings. We are talking about refitting this resort, for instance. So this is going to be a fair amount of work. But I believe this is going to stimulate economic activity. It is going to create jobs. And it is going to lead us to a path of a more greener development pattern. And I see industry captains here as well. And I'm sure that they will understand the necessity of it as an opportunity, not as an hindrance, not as an obligation. So again, thank you very much for coming here to the Maldives and having the meeting. Thank you, Director. Thank you very much for all the good work that UNEP is doing with the Maldives. Thank you.
Thank you, President.